for 20 hours a day. You wouldn't have any teeth either. And that is why elephants have 6 sets of teeth throughout their lives. Interesting question from Justin. We're speaking about elephants' sleep cycles. Yes, I do think elephants dream. In fact, I'm certain that elephants dream. Just like your dogs and cats at home, I'm sure you've seen them when they're chasing something in their dreams and their paws are twitching and their tails twitching, and sometimes you might even see their lips sort of curling up in excitement. And we've seen lions dream before. We've seen their feet twitching as though they're chasing something in their sleep. And I've seen baby elephants do exactly the same thing. Little legs sometimes running madly in their sleep. So yes, I believe that elephants dream. The adults, I'm not sure. Oh, there's the elephant with the floppy ear. Senzo, to the left? Oh, it just turned. It's the one feeding up on the termite mound. A little bit further to the left. That's the one. It's got a floppy ear. Floppy right ear. What do you think, everyone? Do you think elephants dream? I'm certain that they do. Mareka, you want to know why the elephant tusks are so thin compared to those of the Sabi sand? It's interesting, isn't it? There's quite a few with much longer tusks, but they seem to be thinner. I don't know why that is, except all I can suggest is that it's just a result of genetic changes that have happened as elephants have split off into different areas. They're the same species, but it might just be that you get subtle genetic differences, just in the same way that you get differences in people throughout the world. You might find that if for some reason thinner, longer tusks have been favored here, perhaps because I don't know, maybe they spend more time digging, reaching down to the ground. Something to do with the quality of the food, less feeding on branches, thick branches, perhaps. There's plenty of grass available, so they probably don't feed as often as the ones in the sands do on trees. So maybe their tusks don't need to be as thick. Maybe it could be anything, really. Maybe it's just that the ancestors that happen to be relatives of these elephants just happen to be ones with longer, thinner tusks. Again, I don't feel like I've been here long enough to put that as an absolute statement of fact. Certainly by my observation, just having been here for a while, it seems that the tusks are on average a little bit longer and a little bit thinner. Of course, you have to consider the potential of human impact as well. But that's not quite the case here, I don't think. I don't think there's a reason why potential poaching issues in the past might have caused a situation with thinner tusks. Certainly less tusks. And we know in parts of Africa, not here and not in South Africa, but we know that in parts of Africa, the poaching problem for elephant ivory has essentially artificially created a situation where more and more elephants are being born without tusks, because elephants that are born naturally without tusks are the ones that are surviving, and therefore the ones that are reproducing. And as a result, it means that they're basically favoring the elephants without tusks. But I don't think that's the case here. I don't think that this is the result of human influence. Jack, we've already spoken about the situations where giraffe might fight. I wouldn't say that bull elephants fight a lot. In fact, to see a proper fight between two bull elephants is actually relatively rare. And it will only happen again where you've got two equally sized males competing for one female. You'll often see elephants sparring. That's a different story. That's not really fighting. That's play fighting. That's practicing their fighting skills with each other. And occasionally it gets a little bit over-enthusiastic and an elephant gets hurt and gets a little bit annoyed, but it's not really aggressive fighting. You don't often see clashes between two big bulls. Most of the time, any conflict is resolved by common sense. So if you've got a situation with two males and a female, the biggest male will often just be able to sort of reserve his right to mate with her just by sheer size and intimidation factor alone. He won't need to fight unless his opponent is of an equal size. So I would say that serious fights are quite rare. It is something extraordinary to witness, and it would be something that I would love to show you on these live safaris. Oh, Senzo, back to the termite mound. Oh, floppy ear. Every time I try to show you to the world, you turn your head. Shame, perhaps he's a little bit shy about his floppy ear. Don't worry, it makes you special. Completely unique. Come on. D, this brings us back to another difference just in terms of the habitat that these elephants are in. No, I don't think that the elephants do push down trees as often as they do in South Africa. That doesn't mean that they don't do it here. It doesn't mean that they don't push trees over. But for the most part, they don't need to as often as our elephants do in South Africa, and especially in the low veldt. And that's because the wet season, there's just much more rain here, so the grasses and the different soil types mean that the grasses are of a better quality all year round, so there's far more for an elephant to feed on. Now, they don't need to be as preoccupied as ours do during the dry season, the South African ones do during the dry season, with feeding on trees. So I haven't seen it all that often. Does happen, but not as often. Perhaps things change when the wildebeest get here, and the elephants move further up into the mountainous areas. Perhaps they spend more time feeding on the trees there. Come on, mister. Otherwise I think we're going to have to reposition. While we've been sitting here focusing on the elephants, our buffalo have caught up with us as well. They've come streaming across, getting closer and closer towards those lions, I have to say. Nobody seems to have found them, though. They disappeared after we last saw them. They've disappeared into the long grass, but they're not far from here. I definitely think it's worth returning here at the end of the morning drive. One thing I said I was going to do that hasn't gone according to plan yet was to go and see what Brent's leopard was up to, but all the way in South Africa, Tristan is searching for a leopard of his own.
She mumble. Right, guys, so sorry, we didn't hear Chantal at all. There's no comms, but apparently we're live, so all good. Now, we're still trying to see if we can't find this leopard that Byron found now that his car is broken. He asked us to come and have a look, and so far we just found some tracks for what looks like Thamba running northwards in the Mulawati. Can't find anything for Thandi at this stage, but we'll try and see maybe somewhere here. Also, we found tracks for another young male crossing on Gari Main towards Twindam, so I wonder if Hosanna is not also in this area, or it could potentially be that it was Thamba just going back and forth. It's difficult to say, but those tracks on Gari Main looked quite fresh, and so it was worth actually checking. But we are going to just carry on going now. We had some Franklin's alarm calling and tracks, like I say, for Thamba, but so far we can't see anything. It's difficult here. You've got these big steep banks on either side, and so you can't really see what's on top of the bank when you're down here, but you also can't really negotiate up there very well at all. It's not exactly nice and open up there to be able to see what's going on, but we're going to try nonetheless. The Franklins that were alarm calling just in front here, so we're going to just see if maybe, just maybe, little Thamba is not hiding out here somewhere. I'm not going to be able to negotiate that bank. So Nancy, you're wondering if this is a beach. Well, Nancy, it's most definitely a is basically the sand that flows down in the Mulawati riverbed, and we're just using it as a way to drive because it's nice and open and it's easy for the vehicles to negotiate, and so that's why we're using it. Now, the alarm calls were coming from up here. What I want to do is I'm going to just turn and go up through this little thicket and see if he's not lying just somewhere on the other side here. But we'll have to check it. The other problem with having young leopards around, and we saw it yesterday when we were following Thandi and Thamba, is that they split and move and they go back and forth, and it becomes difficult to try and actually find where they really went. But apparently they just ran in here, so I'm going to try and see if I can't see exactly where they went. While we do that, I believe Jamie, it is, not James, I was about to say James, but Jamie has a buffalo with a rather interesting nose.
I know that I said I was on my way towards the leopard, and hopefully we'll get there before the end of the sunrise safari, but I just had to quickly stop and show you what I was talking about earlier. Remember how I mentioned that Brent had said that this is the buffalo herd with the pink noses? Look, I'm sure that there's quite a few pink noses out there, but there we go. There's a prime example of a very bright pink nose. It's quite sweet, isn't it? And I remember weeks ago when I was still driving around on Djuma, linking to Brent with a pink-nosed buffalo. Yes, girl, your nose is very sweet. Apparently there's quite a few of them with this pigmentation on their nose. That's completely unique. Again, talking about zebra and giraffe and identifying individuals, you can do the same thing with buffalo as well, especially if you spend a long time looking at the same individuals. Those patterns of black on her nose will be unique to her. They might change, though, over time, just because that particular patch of skin is going to be very sensitive to the sun, and the sun is strong out here. We're quite high in terms of altitude, and of course we're close to the equator, so the combination means that the sun of the UV rays are very powerful. Brent has gone several shades darker in the time that he's been here. I'm trying to avoid that by copious amounts of sunblock, but I don't think it's working. Shame, Buffalo, would you like some sunblock on your nose? I've got some here if you want. Yes, you should look after that. Mud'll do. Are Lara Moore? Yes, exactly what buffalo smell like. They smell very similar to cattle. In fact, almost indistinguishable from the smell of cattle, and often when you go through an area where a buffalo herd has spent lots of time, you find that it smells exactly like a dairy farm. So you are correct, they smell a lot like cows, at least to my nose, however distinguishing that might be. Perhaps something slightly muskier about them. They also smell muddy. They smell like cattle, they smell muddy, and they smell like grass. They're covered in grass and mud at the moment. Oh, here comes another car. Hold on. I want to get off this main road. Let's have a look at this buffalo over here, Senzel, the one closest to us. Now, Francis, who is watching in Israel, I'm just going to let the vehicle come past. You want to know about the white patches around the buffalo's eyes and around their noses. All of them have them to some degree, and a lot of that comes from just scratching up against trees, and that's for two reasons. One is scent marking. The other is due to the fact that ticks are more likely to be around those sensitive facial areas, and the only way to scratch those is to rub up against a branch or something like that. Yo, look at the size of this bull's horns. Those must be, I would say, 1 meter from one end to the other. 3 feet. They're absolutely massive. So a lot of that comes from rubbing. You do get buffaloes, quite a few, and you'll see them regularly on our live safaris, both in South Africa and here, with fungal diseases on their skin, occasionally with bits of mange as well. And there you go, you can see patchy, dried up, scaly bits of skin. There underneath, the top bit is mud, but there at the join of the stomach and the leg, that scaly patch of skin is the sign of some kind of skin disease. I'm still trying to get to Brent's leopard, but it seems as though Tristan has had far more success than I have.
Well, we have indeed. We've managed to find our leopard, little Thandi. So she's got a big yawn, and I don't know where little Thamba is, but she was calling, and he was somewhere around here. There's a bushbuck that's alarm calling, and hopefully she's not going to drag us through this, because it's going to be really tough to find her. But luckily we found the tracks, and it was quite quick and easy to actually find Thandi. Now hopefully, like I say, Thamba is going to be around here too, but this is going to be a tough off-roading section, because this is not very pleasant in here, and this is going to be not easy, and hopefully we won't have another vehicle with a damaged steering rod. Although Byron's vehicle will be fine. It's exactly what happened to us the other day when we were following. There's little Thamba. Hello, big boy. Look at you. You're hiding on top of the termite mound.
Good termite mound,
yeah, he loves a termite mound, doesn't he, Ferg? Now you can see just how difficult it is to actually see a leopard, but there he is. You can just see him through the thickets. Hello, big boy. Now, Thandi's walked off a little bit, so hopefully Thamba will be a lot more visible. Ferg, I think let's try go around, because on the other side of that mound looks nice and open, and I think it's going to be much easier for us to see him. Where he is now at the moment is so dense, as you can see, it's just a clump of bushes. So let's try the other side, Ferg. It looks like it's going to be nice and open there. I just need to also update Tax, because Tax was in this area with me. Yeah, Tax, I've got them both here. My daughter is just on top of a termite mound. So she's mobile now northwards. It's Makulu Latino. We're on the western side of Mulawati. So I'm just trying to see if I can't get round and find exactly a way back towards that termite mound. I don't know where Thandi went from here. It's nice and open here, so it would have been nice if she had decided to go onto this termite mound, or if he had decided to go onto this termite mound. But I would imagine she's not too far, and if we stick with little Thamba, we should be able to find Thandi again, because Thamba is going to try and follow his mom, that's for sure. Just trying to get round through here. Careful there, Ferg. There's a few low-lying hazardous objects that might come your way. Tux, I think your best bet is to actually come towards those pans south of Chelapan. You're going to be able to access much better from there than from the Mulawati. So there's Thandi. So she's just walking past the back of the car, and this is so interesting to see how far she's actually going into Djuma these days. I mean, she's come right up. We're near Chelapan now, which is a lot further north than I've ever known Thandi to go, and so it almost looks like she's starting to take over where Karula was and start to move in. And there comes little Thamba trotting away, as he always does. And it's interesting just to see the size of this guy's paws, because his tracks look like a big male these days. It's quite interesting, because Taxon was saying to me, am I sure this is Thandi and Thamba, because the track that they saw was for a rather large male, and well, little Tamba's feet are getting so big these days that he is looking like a large male. So it's really interesting to see how big his feet are. Now hopefully they're going to come out into the open. We've got a beautiful open section here that they're going to be hopefully moving towards. I can see her right there. Hello, Thandi. But this is very interesting, and I'm keen to see just how far she goes during the course of today, because it looks like she's pressing further and further north, which means that we could potentially actually see her even arriving on the dam cam. The next sort of road up from where we are is Vuatela Dam, and so that is very far north for Thandi. It's much further than I would ever thought she would have gone as quickly as this. So Amy, you're wondering how long is Thamba going to stay with Thandi? Well, that's a variable that we don't know. It depends on the individual female. Some females are a little bit more sort of tolerant than others. Now she is going to come. I know, thank you. So it's just somebody just telling us that there's a female and a male, which evidently we know already. But it depends on the mother. Some mothers will be able to will tolerate their young ones a lot more than others, and some will be a lot less tolerant and will chase them away. But generally the average period is between 14 months and 2 years is the normal sort of time frame in terms of leaving their cubs and letting them go off their own. Hello, my girl. She is the coolest leopard. I'm so happy to see her again. If you stick around, Thandi, I'm going to be a very happy man, because you really are a beautiful cat. And look at that. Now, little Thamba is somewhere on my right-hand side. In fact, he's going to pop out on the road shortly. He's just sitting on the edge watching Mom walk along. But this is so cool. There he comes. Hello, beautiful boy. Yes, you are getting big. He's got such a stocky sort of look about him. He's quite short, but everything about him is muscular. And you can see the attention span of a squirrel as well. Everywhere he goes, he just has to look at things and watch things. And this is all new for him. Remember, Thamba has never really been up this far. He doesn't know this area at all. So that's why he's probably watching everything. What is this new place Mom is taking me to? What is going on? What is happening in this area? And where am I going? And what am I seeing? It's all that kind of new syndrome that he's got. And so he's like a naughty little child that wants to investigate everything at this stage. But how cool? So cool. Can't be happier when you see things like this. And so we're lucky Byron managed to find what we were looking for this morning. Now I see he's trotting into the bush after Mom. So she's still moving, and now we're going into the Bermuda Triangle for lions. So some of you that may remember, and for those of you that weren't watching a few weeks ago, Jamie, myself and James had an absolute nightmare with lions that went in here. We had a mating pair as well as a male lion that went in here, and all of us struggled to find them in here, sort of in the following drives. And so hopefully Thandi and Thamba don't pull a disappearing act as well as we try and negotiate this horrible thicket that we're going to go through. Now where did they go? I thought I saw them going just straight. Now there's a termite mound, so maybe little Thamba will go up the mound for us and we'll be able to see them again. Ah, there they are. I can see them. Heading straight towards the said mound, Ferg. So that's Thandi in front, that's striding, and as long as we kind of see Thandi, we'll be able to stick up with Thamba. There we go. Thamba up his termite mound, as is normal. There we go. Hello, boy. Are you investigating termite mounds? And you can see once again he's doing what we saw yesterday, looking in all the trees. He's hopeful Mom is taking him to a carcass. That's why he keeps going to the trees, looking up. He thinks that the way that Mom is striding and moving, that potentially there's food for him somewhere. You are beautiful. Sure. So, James, oh, there we go. What are you chasing up there? I think he's chasing birds. This little leopard is such a character. Oh, no, decided down we go. Now, James, you wondering whether or not I think that Thandi will shift her entire territory into this area, or is she going to just take a portion of it and keep her the rest of her territory that she currently has. I don't think she's going to shift her territory too much. She might shift further north and sacrifice a little bit of the sort of eastern and southern sections, particularly if there's pressure from Kuchava, her daughter, as well as Inkanyeni. She might then just shift it a little bit north. So what I think is going to happen is she's going to expand this territory, and her territory effectively is going to get larger rather than actually moving it out. And when she starts to get pressure from younger leopards from the south, that might push her to come back down, come up into this area and head further north. But she's definitely making big strides into this northern section. She's right in the heart of where Karula was. This is where Karula used to hang around. Chelapan was sort of Karula's stronghold, and then northwards, and it seems like she's now actually heading a little bit to the west as well, which would be right towards Weaver's Nest and those areas, which we know was Karula's stronghold for quite a while. Now, I've put myself boxed into a corner here, so I'm going to try and just get back. Right. Now, we're going to try and get ourselves out of this mess that I've gotten us into, because we're surrounded by trees at this stage. And so while I do that, let's go to Jamie, who's got another predator to add to this morning.
Look at this. What we've found hanging out around another little river system. Two hyenas are talking to each other. Hold on one sec. Let's just get back so we can get a better view. I'm sure there's a carcass in there. The other evening, Dave and I were out doing our first night test. Oh, I must tell you about that. I can't believe I haven't done that already. We were out doing our first night test, and we were just testing all of the infrared and everything like that. Obviously, now we've started to do our Facebook Lives each and every single night. And I saw a hyena popping out of here, looking very fat and very dirty. And the two of them, both of these hyenas, have bits of rotten meat around their face. So there's definitely a carcass in there. I wonder what it is. Little bit of a sign of submission from this hyena. Tail slightly tucked. And then some vocalizations from the hyena on the left. I'm just going to wait for a tractor to come past, and then we'll reposition and see if we can get a view of what it is that they're... Oh, here comes another hyena out of there. Ah, there's definitely something that they're feeding on. I wonder what it is. Oh, there's another one there as well. So there's 5 hyena here. What have you been feeding on, you mischiefs? And one of the other balloon vehicles on its way back. Cool. There they go. Let's go and have a look at what these hyenas are up to. I'm having to use my side mirrors a lot more these days, making sure I don't crash into a car. Hello, guys. What have you been snacking on? You've attracted the attention of vultures, whatever it is you've got. I'm going with Hippo. What do you all think? What do you think the hyenas have got in this river? Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. What's your guess? I'd say the odds are quite strongly in the favor of Hippo. But hyenas like to drag their meat into water. So it doesn't have to be a hippopotamus. It could be a wildebeest, could be a zebra, could be a topi, unlikely but possible. What do you think the hyenas are storing down there? We will have a chance to go and have a look. I'm just going to wait for the vehicles to have had their chance to see, and then we'll make our way in. Senzo, what do you think? What have they been feeding on in there? I would say the fact that they've been here for 2 days speaks strongly in favor of something quite large. So while we wait for our opportunities to make our way through that narrow stretch of road where we can see what it is they've got, let me tell you the thrilling tale of the night test. So on my way back, the headlights died on Mila, which is our third arrival in terms of vehicles. So unfortunately we had to drive back using the infrared, which was quite a unique experience. Pretty sure it's a first that anybody's ever driven up the hill to Angama in using only infrared on their monitors. It was quite an experience. There's a youngster, still quite dark, covered in mud, but you can see much smaller in size and the spots still quite close together, indicative of a young hyena. And all of them looking very fat and very happy. Not that I have ever seen a hyena here that doesn't look fat and happy, I have to be honest. So there's 6 hyena. Roshni, your guess is an antelope that they've been eating. Entirely possible, Roshni. One of the bigger ones, perhaps? Something like a topi or a Coke's hartebeest? And I apologize, there's plenty of noise, but somebody else has guessed buffalo. Also a possibility, a very strong possibility. Flat? Am I getting that right? Did you say flat? Oh, fluff. Fluff, you suggest buffalo. Again, possible. Let's get a bit closer. Edge our way in. Perhaps we'll get lucky and win the game of musical vehicles. Hello. Ashes. Ashes, you say maybe another hyena. We've seen it before. Brent had that happen not so long ago on the live safari, so another hyena is a possibility. Hyenas are not above cannibalism. In fact, most animals out here are not above cannibalism in terms of predators, if they're hungry enough. But hyenas in particular are not all that fussy. Oh, it's alright, little one. I'm sure this is the same clan of hyenas that den somewhere at the base of the mountain. We hear them calling all evening. Jumbo! Don't worry, everyone, the opportunity will come. Habari! Now, Lara Moore, you want to know if hyenas will groom each other after feeding like lions. Habari! And the answer to that is yes, but not in the same way lions do. Let's go, Sens. Let's grab the opportunity while we can. A lot of the time it's a sign of a submissive hyena trying to impress a more dominant one. So it's not done with the same level of affection that you see with lions. All of the hyenas now running up out of the drainage line with their hygiene. Hence the nickname hygiene that we often give them. They like to lie in mud. They don't mind being covered in rotten meat at all. Oh, there must be lots more in there. I'm sure these are all lower-ranking individuals and have been waiting their turn to have a go at this carcass. All now moving off. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm sure there are more down in the dip. Let's just wait patiently for our opportunity to go and see. Just like this hyena. All of them waiting patiently for their opportunity to go and feed. Definitely still watching what's going on down there. Oh, if only, but only I'd looked in here the other evening, I would have answers for you. But at that point I was trying to get home with rapidly dimming headlights. Hi guys, we've just got our opportunity to move forward. Shall we head forward quickly and have a quick look before more vehicles come? Wait, let's reposition. Kirst, can I turn around quickly? We've got our answer. But I'm going to see it better from another angle. I'm not going to give away just yet what it is. No hyenas behind me? No. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. Can we make it? Yeah, we can. Oh, yum. And there we have our answer. A hippopotamus it was. A deceased hippopotamus. Could it be that this hyena clan specializes in hunting the hippo around here? Or is it just that space is at a premium and the hippos are becoming weaker and injured in fights? Oh, amazing sound effects. Sorry to those of you with a bit of a sensitive stomach, this is not all that appealing to look at. But it is fascinating, and it is the way of the world out here, and at least this hippo isn't going to waste. Oh dear. We are going to have to move. Hold on, Sens. Okay. Let's just wait for this vehicle to come past. Hi, buddy. Okay, let's not drive into the pond and join the hippo. I would prefer to avoid that. There we go. Back down once again. Now there's enough space for vehicles to sneak around me. No, we have our answer. I wonder. Perhaps it is just the Mara River, of course, is very, very low for this time of year, which means that there's a lot of fights happening between hippos as they fight for space. And Brent and myself and Dave actually witnessed one of those fights not so long ago. I'm going to sit and watch the way that this plays out as they have a little squabble over food. Let's go back to Tristan with Thamba.
Well, we are being spoiled to probably, I would say, my best sighting of this little cat. He is up on this fallen over tree and he looks absolutely regal up there. He is going to be such a cool cat when he's a little bit older, and he's chosen the best tree we could have asked for. He's up on this fallen over marula and he keeps staring straight at us, and we are eye level with him, and there's just something about being on the same sort of level as one of these cats. And look at him. He is magnificent. Now Mom has left you behind. I can hear the vehicles following Mom, and that is a long way from where we are. Are you coming to say hello? You can see he's just checking us out. He just wants to see who we are and what we're doing. So I'm just going to stay nice and still as he comes past, because I don't want him to get a fright or anything like that. Hello, boy. Wow. Words can't describe when a leopard is not even 2 meters from you, the feeling that you get, especially when he locks eyes with you and these sort of green aqua-colored eyes just sort of look at you, and it seems like he's just checking just to make sure you're not a threat to him. And the feeling that happens when he looks is just something I can't explain. Where are you off to? And like I say, Thandi's gone far. I can hear the vehicles. They almost sound like they're somewhere near Twin Dams Road or Weaver's Nest area. Well, it's actually Weaver's Nest, not Twin Dams. So it sounds like they're somewhere that side. So I'm going to just try and stay with little Thamba and keep up with him, because I don't think we're going to catch up with Thandi that quickly, so I'd rather stay with him and see what he gets up to. As much as I love Thandi, this little guy is such a poser and is so pretty. It's always a joy to spend time with him as well. So let's just try and see if we can't stay with him. Just now he was trying to hunt francolins, and it was quite comical to watch, because he went bounding into this bush to stalk, and he got into a low position to stalk, and then as he was about to jump, the francolin came up towards him and looked at him, and he was a bit confused now as to why is this francolin actually not running away from me. So he ended up in a situation where he was just staring at this francolin dead on, and the francolin looked at him, and it was a brave francolin, I must be honest, and it was just this kind of dead stare off, and then the francolin basically just walked away, and Thamba looked there very perplexed as to what had just happened, and how on earth had this francolin ignored him so quickly and not really been too scared of him. I think he got a bit of a fright that the francolin didn't actually fly away like normal. Now I'm going to try and see if I can't get a better position from where I am. It's just the only gap that I can see is so close to him that I don't want him to run. You can see just in front here, this little gap through there is the only one that I can really punch through. The rest has got fallen over trees everywhere. Although I see another one that we can take, folks. Let's try that one. She didn't notice this part. I thought there was a fallen over stump here, but it's actually not too bad. So we're going to just try and get around here. Now hopefully once we get on the other side of him, it should be nice and open and we should be able to see him perfectly. And I think what's happening is he's starting to now find an area to lie down for the day. There's a nice shady little section he's got himself into there, and so I think maybe, just maybe, that might be where he's going to rest and wait for Thandi to come back again. Let's see. There we go. Yep, we've decided this is where he's going to lie down. Just hold on, Ferg. I'm almost there. Now, of course, old Wendy turns like the Titanic ship at this stage, so she really doesn't turn very easily, and so you've got to kind of do 10-point turns to go where Rusty would go in one turn. But hold on, Ferg, we're almost there. There we go. How's that, Ferg? Is that good? So you can see he's got himself into a nice little shady spot from a bush willow and an apple leaf, and that is going to be the perfect place to lounge and rest for the rest of the day. Oh, and look at this big yawn. You can see his teeth are still very white because he's so young still. He hasn't got that sort of yellow tinge that the teeth get as they get a little bit older. And you can see now a bit of grooming that's taking place. So this is just to get rid of all the ticks and mites and grass seeds and burrs that he's picked up while walking through all of this grass. And from here he's probably, like I say, going to have a nice rest. But isn't this exciting, guys? I know the fact that Karula's gone is not a nice thought, and it's one that a lot of you have been struggling with. But the fact is, at least her lineage is continuing, and Thandi is part of Karula's whole lineage. And if there was a female to move in besides Shongile, I think Thandi for me would be the one that I would have chosen. So for her to be spending a little bit more time in this area is really a very cool situation for us. So, Roshni, you say I'm smitten by Thamba the poser. Well, most definitely. He is such a cool leopard, and he goes up on termite mounds and up trees and seems to always just want to pose for everybody, and that's why I like him. He's not shy and reclusive, and he does his kind of thing, and he seems to be quite a character. Just from the few times that I've watched him, is always up to something, chasing things, and seems to just want to have a good time wherever he goes, and that's why I like him. He's just got some little sort of airs and graces about him that make me happy, which is good. So I am indeed smitten, and particularly because we've got leopard on Djuma, which is always a good thing. And you know, it was a worry, particularly with Karula going missing, that we would start our leopard sightings would maybe start to take a downturn a little bit. But if we've got this little guy around and Thandi, and if Thandi is going to spend more time here, then you know, potentially the time frame between her and Thamba leaving, it will be within the next year, and you never know, maybe she starts to settle here and she'll be the female that we'll start to see having cubs on Djuma again. So you know, it's a positive process, and one that at least is some encouragement and some hope that we will have a dominant female that potentially could produce cubs on Djuma, because right now, at the moment as it stands, we don't have that. We know that Shadow spends a lot of her time in Arathusa and south of the boundary, and little Shongile is still a little bit young to be mating, even though we know that she can potentially mate at 2 years. That's still a year away, and so it's going to be a long time until little Shongile produces cubs, and she's still got to forge a territory of her own, and so the hope, I suppose, lies with Thandi at this stage, that she's going to spend more time up here and actually end up taking this sort of southeastern corner of Djuma, and that will be fantastic. What would be ideal is if little Shongile could take the northern section, so from Quarantine northwards, and then we'd have Thandi and Thamba down in the southeast and Shadow in the southwest. That would be an ideal situation, don't you all agree? And you can see how he longingly looks around for Thandi to come back. White Lady Ern. Now, yesterday you asked us to do a one-word tweet, and I actually didn't see your one-word tweet, so maybe you can let me know what your one-word tweet was from yesterday. But you want to know what it feels like to have little Thamba looking into our eyes, much like he is right now. Well, it's a difficult feeling to describe. I said yesterday, when a leopard looks at you, it's almost like they analyze the deepest part of you and kind of look through everything and can tell exactly what you're made of and who you are as a person. That's how I feel about it. Maybe it's not that case, but that's how I feel. But Thamba to me has got the most striking eyes. I don't know what it is about him. I think it's the darkness that he's got around the sort of fringes of his eyes. Most leopards have a little bit more light color there, and then the fact that his eyes are so light in contrast to those dark round circles, it just makes his eyes that much more piercing. And when he looks at you, there's just something magical about it. And spending time with a leopard and being able to sit and watch one, and for them to be looking at you, is just the most amazing thing, and it's a special sighting, well, special privilege to be able to do all of this. And we are so fortunate to be able to not only be here, but to share this with all of you at home and make sure that we bring this to people all across the world, and people then can admire the beauty of what the wild animals in Africa are. And it's a very, very big privilege to be out here and to spend time, particularly with the little cats like Thamba and Thandi. So we're very, very fortunate. That this is his final color that he's going to end up with, which they are quite haunting, aren't they? They remind me a little bit of Anderson's eyes. Anderson's got a bit more of a blue tinge than what Thamba's got, but he's got these lighter colored eyes as well, and he's very pretty. Now you can see he's watching me because I move my hand, so I'm going to stop moving my hand because I don't want him to get scared of us or in any way. And we're just going to sit tight and lower our voices a little bit so he gets a little bit more comfortable. You can see he's not quite sure about this presence. He's watching us very, very carefully, and so I think if we just sit still for a while and lower our voices, he'll start to take it a little bit easier again. Sure. And that little pink nose of his as well, I'm sure that in time is going to start to fade as well, although we know that with Shadow, her pink nose has lasted all through her life. And even Thandi's nose is not the darkest nose you'll find out here. She's got a slightly pink nose too. So maybe it's a family trait, and we'll end up with a situation where little Thamba will keep his pink nose as he gets older. But you can see there's not too much darkening happening there just yet. You'll find on Hosana's already got black spots developing towards the edges of his nose. So Nikki, you say his eyes remind you of Mvula's eyes. I can see why you say that. Mvula also had these striking eyes, and when Mvula was younger, his eyes were amazing. They were almost like an aquamarine color. They were very, very pretty. But I find Thamba's eyes just slightly more green than what you see on Mvula's eyes. Mvula's have a more blue tinge than Thamba's. Thamba's tend to have a little bit more green in them, and in that reason is unique to me. It doesn't really strike me as much as Mvula like Quarantine does. I don't know why, but the photos that I've seen of Quarantine always make me think of Mvula. And even little Kanuma as well had that sort of look of Mvula. Now we're going to sit with our beautiful little boy as he just enjoys the shade of this bush willow. And while we do that, let's go all the way back to Jamie, who's not at a very peaceful scene at all, but rather a more gory one.
We have returned to our spotted hyena because, of course, it is a really very good way of determining the hierarchy within a hyena clan, or at least getting a little bit of an idea of the dynamics within a clan around a kill site. And although ideally it would be better if it were fresh, it's still interesting watching the way that the hyenas interact with each other. The reason that I say we have returned to these hyena, and if you have a weak stomach at the best of times, perhaps now would be the time not to listen to what I'm saying. This hippo carcass has been here for, I would guess, about 2 days now, which means that it's had ample opportunity to build up a huge amount of gas as a result of the bacteria breaking down the meat within the hippo. The result was that the hyenas hit and burst one of these bubbles, and the explosion was incredible. It sprayed out everywhere, And Senzo and I had to depart quite rapidly due to the smell being quite overwhelming. So we've returned, we're braving it once again, now that the smell of the gas has removed itself. I mentioned that hyenas like to put their food in water, and Bev was wondering why that is. There's a couple of reasons. One is that it might be a good way of hiding the scent, so a good way of sort of keeping it hidden away from other scavengers, largely lions actually, since lions can and do scavenge regularly. Another reason why is that it might be a hyena that wants to keep it all to itself and not share with the rest of the group. There is another thought, and I kind of buy it. I mean, I don't quite know how you'd prove it, but the other thought or school of thinking is that hyenas actually quite like it when the meat goes rotten inside the water. It's nice and soft and easy to eat. Now think of, believe what you will, but I could see it being a factor. They don't mind getting muddy and dirty, they don't mind lying in the fetid water, so it might just be a way of adding an extra dimension, a stew, if you like. A rotten meat stew. It's disgusting, isn't it? Ooh. One hyena getting a bit too brave there, getting a growl from the other. They're talking to each other. Yep, banished to the other side. Look at the sneaky one coming in at the back. Sub-adult looking to see if it can gnaw on the edges or at the scraps. Careful, you're going to get into trouble. Supplication. Ears back. Bottom down. Even if it's in the water, it's still a potential biting target. Gotta be careful when you make your way into a situation like this. Ashes, I don't quite know how the hippopotamus died. It's got some injuries on its side, and if we have a look there, Sens, there's some scrape marks. That to me looks a lot like wounds from another hippo. That to me looks like it got into a fight and those amazing ivory tusks of a hippopotamus sliced through its skin. So I would suggest that it was a hippo that was involved with a fight with another hippo, and that might have weakened it. Whether or not the hyenas finished the job is a different question, and one that, again, we will never have the answer to until we actively see them taking down a hippopotamus. We know that they do hunt hippo here. It is something that happens, so it's possible that this clan killed it. The fact that we've seen 2 hippo carcasses with this hyena clan in the last 3 weeks is interesting. Doesn't tell us necessarily that they killed them, but it is interesting. I wonder if we'll start to see more hippo carcasses in this area. And you can see the hyenas are not bothered at all. In fact, they quite like lying in water. But I walk in the rain. Yes, potentially a hyena would go into... a lion would go into this water to feed off the carcass. They'd probably try to drag it out if they could, but it wouldn't stop them from feeding. And you'll find, if you scour hard enough, you'll find lots of pictures of lions in water feeding off carcasses. Displaced. Walking through the thick mud. Oh dear. Ooh. That's not looking good at all. I would suggest that is a very low-ranking hyena with a very bad injury. Neither of those back legs look like they're doing too well. The left one's worse. The left one looks almost completely immobile. The right one looks wasted as well. Muscle wastage. Let's just wait for it to pop up there. Shame. I think that might be a broken pelvis. That's almost certainly from another hyena, and it doesn't look like a new injury. That looks like an old injury to me. Can you hear the little squeaks from the hyenas as they find their feeding spot? Amy, it's not common for hippo to get stuck in the mud unless they are, for some reason, unless they're weaker for whatever reason it may be. Perhaps they've been attacked by lions, perhaps it's a time of drought and they're struggling to meet their nutritional needs, might have been injured in a fight. It's not common for hippos to get stuck in mud, and in fact, during times of drought, what we saw, especially in the sands 2 years ago, was that the hippos would still seek out the mud, even if it was thick and difficult to get out of and into, just because their skin was getting so harshly affected by the sun and the temperatures were so hot and they had nowhere to go. It doesn't often happen though. Hippos usually quite good at getting themselves out of sticky mud. It does happen with buffalo every now and again. Some of the smaller antelope, especially young antelope, will find themselves stuck in the mud as well. Sorting out a hierarchy now that the larger hyena is finished feeding. And two little ones making their way in. They've been waiting for their chance all evening probably, and finally it's presented itself as a larger, more dominant hyena moves off. Oh, there's that smell again. Not too bad though. Not nearly as bad as when that gas bubble burst. Sensor turned a sort of vague shade of green when I looked back at him. Roughly the colour of his jacket, actually. You know, James has been talking about how marvellous the smell of the Mara is. Not this aspect. Now, Raz, you want to know why it is that their crocs haven't shown up if there's meat in the water? Wouldn't they have made an appearance? They're unlikely to, and the reason why is that this particular water river isn't flowing, so it's not home to that many resident crocodiles. There might be one or two in deeper pools further back along this water or along this river structure, but there aren't any crocodiles in this water, and they're unlikely to trek all the way here to come and feed off a hippo carcass. They don't need to. There's plenty of food well on its way shortly. I wonder how the hammerkorps feel. Oh, sorry, Sens. I think it's time for Senzo and myself to depart. Luckily, Tristan is still with Tristan is still with Thamba and Thandi, and I'm sure they smell much better than this.
Well, Jamie, I'm not so sure. I'd imagine so, but who knows? At least Jamie's had a cracking morning all the way in East Africa. It sounds like it's been an incredible time up there, and it seems like those hyenas do love a hippo, that's for sure. It's the second time that we've had them on the hippos up there, so really cool. And Thamba is just taking it very easy still. He's very chilled at the moment. And interestingly enough, I got an update from Tax, who tried to follow Thandi, but she was going straight north and she was heading up towards Quarantine, which is very far from where she normally goes. So exciting times that she's going up that way and starting to head into that area. And like I say, maybe we'll start to see her more and more, and wouldn't be surprised she pops out on the dam cam at some point today, so it's worth having a look out for her up that side. But it's definitely the deepest that I've ever heard of her going. Even in the sort of time when she was younger and when she was mating, I've never heard of her moving up into this area. Now, what have you seen, little man? Maybe he spotted something in the distance. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you want to know if his coat feels like velvet and whether he has an odor. Well, no odor that I can pick up. Normally it's only when they eat food that they start to have this sort of scent about them. If they maybe have eaten a rotten carcass, then that scent around their face can carry. But other than that, no, not really. Unless you get right up close to them, they can smell a little bit. But in terms of velvet, no, not actually. Their coats are a little bit more sort of coarse than actually velvet. Now, I'm going to try and see if I can't get out of here. I don't know if I'll be able to, because I think Tax maybe, just maybe, might have parked me in. Now, there is a big stump here in front. But there we go, we missed it, which is fantastic. And so we can move around and try and catch up with little Thamba as he moves. But they, as far as I've heard, and of course I've never touched Thamba, so I wouldn't know, but in terms of other leopards, they do have quite a coarse feel to them. Their coats get like that because of all the dust and dirt and all the other kind of things that they lie in every day, and ultimately they don't get shampooed and taken to the parlor and pampered like a domestic animal would, and they don't get brushed like a domestic cat, and so their fur tends to be a little bit more coarse than it is velvet. It's not exactly hard though, it's not sort of horrible, hard, ugly coats. It's fairly soft still, but it's not velvety, if that's what we want to call it. Okay, now you're looking up in your marula. It's time for you to go up one. We know Thamba does like to climb trees, so I'm just trying to see where he's going to go from here. But he was looking up into this marula, and I was thinking, I wonder if he's maybe not going to just go jumping up. He's still having a little look. You can see him just at the base of the marula behind the tree there, and he keeps looking up into the tree itself. No, not that marula, that's not the right one. Onward and forward to the next marula. There's another 2 that we've got here that he might go up in. So let's have a look. Wouldn't it be a nice way just to finish off our day if little Thamba went bounding up into the tree and lay on that branch that's coming off the particular marula that he's heading to. You see there's a little branch there, that one right there. So that branch over there would be the perfect branch for him just to relax and recline, and it would be a perfect sighting for us. But I don't think he's going to go there. He seems like he's angling off slightly. He's a little bit more to the right of that. There he is, yeah. So it seems like he's heading off to the other marula that's a little bit further on. Now that one's also got a nice sort of branch that he could lie on. And let's see. Nope, I don't think so. I think we're going to go to a termite mound instead. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if all leopards have pink noses? No, they don't actually. So if we have a look at some of the other leopards that we see in this particular area, they actually don't have pink noses at all. They generally, the older they get, the darker their nose becomes. And if you see Salahesh and Tiani in the west, that bloodline, their noses are actually very, very dark. In particular Tiani, she's almost got a black nose from when she was born. So her nose is quite dark, and it's normally an age thing, as they get older, so their noses start to darken up. But you'll have some individuals like Shadow and Thandi that keep their pink nose even when they get older. Oh, this place is full of aardvark burrows that we need to be a bit careful of. They keep kind of disappearing with one tire down. Now let's just try and negotiate this. Of course Thamba makes it look very easy because he just kind of moves along and no worries whatsoever, but for us a little bit more difficult. And there we go, there's our termite cat again. You do love a termite mound, don't you, boy? And you can see that little tail is wagging. Now I don't want to go too much closer. I want him just to try and rest and find a place that he wants to lie down, and once he's down I'll then reposition ourselves and let him get comfortable. But he really likes to go up termite mounds for some reason. It's probably because he can see so far. Or is he down there? Let's go round so we can maybe try and see him. I think he's come down the mound. Oh no, he's lying there. I can see him now. Just gonna try and just get around here. Should be able to get a nice view of him on the other side here. We're going to try and get ourselves into position, and the man that we have to thank for this sighting, who has managed to somehow miraculously fix his vehicle with Opar, is back up and running. So let's go to Byron and see what he's got to say for himself.
Hi. Sorry about that. We had vehicle issues. So what happened was, as we were trying to Thandi and Thamba, we went down a bit of an embankment, and somebody on the vehicle, I'm not going to mention names, broke the steering rod or bent the steering rod. So anyway, we've had to deal with that. It's fixed now, thank goodness, and we didn't hit anything. It just bent because of the angle we were going down. Wow, it's only the second time in my guiding career that I have bent a steering rod. Anyway, luckily we managed to call Tristan in, and he got to find Thandi and Thamba again and sit with him. It sounds like it's been an amazing sighting, and I'll be honest, I'm very jealous because I really wanted to see a leopard up in a tree or just get some interaction from leopards, but that's the way it goes. So we'll see if we can't find anything else. Perhaps we got to have a bit of a coffee break. Right now it sounds like Thamba's lying beautifully on that termite mound with Tristan. I hope he doesn't shout at me later.
No, we're not going to shout at you, Byron, don't worry, because you gave us a leopard as a payment for your indiscretions with Rusty. And well, anyway, Ferg and I bent Rusty's same steering arm a few weeks ago anyway, so we can't blame you for anything. So we're just happy that we got to spend some time with the leopard. So thank you, Byron. It's rather than shouting at you, is a thank you going to you today. But look at him watching. He's busy looking into this marula above us, and I think he's trying to see if there's any food. No, we didn't put a carcass up there for you, I'm afraid, boy. Nope, sorry. But isn't this cool? Just resting on a mound. Ah, the joys of leopards. There's nothing better in life. So Ash is one. You say, what a magnificent kitty. Well, indeed, he is. He's as good as it gets, really. In terms of young leopards, he's absolutely beautiful. And he is my favorite, I think. The more time I'm spending with him, the more he's sort of endearing himself to me. I know, Ferg, this is your favorite leopard that we see here, and I really do like Hosana as well, but I think there's just something about Thamba, and the fact that we're actually seeing him as much as we are over the last few days is just kind of reinforcing that. And Chantal says it's her favorite as well, so he seems to be a popular boy. You can see he's got that popular lean on him at the moment as well. He's just kind of chilling on his termite mound and just posing for photographs for the other vehicle. The other vehicle are taking photos, and he's kind of just staring straight at their lens, which is fantastic for those people that have come all the way out here to get a photograph of a wild leopard. So glad that he's such a poser, and I think it's not long now until he actually probably falls asleep properly. Every now and then his eyes are sort of closing a little bit, and he then seems like his head is starting to get a bit heavy, so I wouldn't be surprised he has a nice nap here somewhere. Are you watching the birds? Are there birds above us here? I can't see any. Maybe it's just the last few leaves of the marula that are falling that he keeps watching as they kind of drift down to earth. But Thandi is definitely on a hunting mission. She's gone far. She hasn't come back at all. So, memes, you want to know what the name Thandi and Thamba means? Well, Thamba is a boulder, and the reason why he was called Thamba is because he was born at Chitwa Lodge. Now, Chitwa Lodge has one of their rooms is called the Thamba Suite, or the Boulders Suite, because it's on some rocky outcrop, and that's the perfect place for a leopard to have cubs, and so that's why he was called Thamba. And Thandi means love, so that is the meaning of Thandi's name, and that was named, I can't remember actually who named Thandi. I'll have to try and find out. I think it might have been actually Tax or one of them that named Thandi. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure some of our viewers will know. If you can let me know as to who actually named Thandi, I can't remember. Now, of course, Thandi and Shadow are sisters, and Shadow was actually originally named Tingana, funnily enough, and we had to change that when Tingana, the big male, arrived, and so that's when Shadow was changed to Shadow and lost the Tingana name tag. In fact, actually, Shadow and Tingana, she had two names when she was younger, and then when Tingana male arrived, it was decided that Shadow would become her name permanently, and that the Tingana name tag would drop away. But you can see the wind is starting to pick up a bit now, and so with the wind, so is his ears are perking up, and just listening, there's a few rustlings of leaves and grasses, and that will pique his interest, and you can see his ears kind of pricking up and turning quite a bit, just to work out what's going on around him. Sure, he is a very, very pretty boy. And it's a pity about just this grass in front of him, because it keeps blowing in front of his face. So, Nancy, you're wondering why Thandi and Thamba split up? Well, by the looks of it, and from what we can work out, is that she's been with him all of last night, and even during the day, this morning, and it seems like she's wanting to hunt. She was very interested in looking at things. She kept stalking and getting lower when we were off air, and then she decided to move on. So what I think is happening is she's gone off hunting. Thamba is tired of trailing behind Mom, and so he's now lying down, and there might have been some visual cues that we missed where she might have growled at him and said, right, you stay here, this is now time for me to go and see if I can't find us food. And she's gone off to hunt, leave him behind because he's still inexperienced and clumsy, and he's going to probably mess up most of the hunts that she tries. Once she's left him, she'll then go hunt, and if she's successful, come back and fetch him. If she's unsuccessful, she'll then come back anyway and pick him up, and they'll then carry on moving. So that's why they've separated. It's not uncommon to see in young leopards. You'll see it quite often, particularly bigger young leopards like this. They are now completely self-sufficient in terms of he's already able to kill should he need to. As we saw with Hosana, he was able to, even at a year old, start looking after himself, as well as Shongile. And so they really, at the end of the day, they are able to climb and to get out of danger, and therefore it's okay for them to sit in this area by themselves, and Thandi can go about her business as she likes. Now, I believe Byron, in the meantime, has managed to find something that little Thamba may want to eat.
Oh, gee, I wonder, yeah, definitely, Tristan. However, I think this big kudu bull is far too big for that little leopard, that young male leopard. He would never be able to hunt a large kudu like this just yet. Leopards have been recorded to hunt kudu, but again, it would have to be very skilled, and I think it's on the rare occasion that they would get a big bull like this. Look at those beautiful spiral horns of this kudu. I really, really enjoy seeing these bulls moving through the bush. No, it's just disappeared there a little bit. Where is he? There he is. There's another one. That's the other one. Looks a bit younger. The horns aren't as long as the other males. It looks slightly younger, but still decent horns. Probably a little bit more to grow there. And the other one's coming out soon. I think we'll get a nice view of him, hopefully. The other male. Nice to see these kudu bulls. Now, they'll often stay together in these small bachelor herds, 2, 3, 4 of them, sometimes more. And then when they're ready to mate with the females, they'll split off and try and fight one another for dominance. Now, have a look. Now, the kudu is a browser, which means it feeds off leaves of trees, and you can see that very, very clearly. These kudu are enjoying the leaves. Busy browsing there. They're beautiful antelope, aren't they? Very large antelope. Sally, all the way in Oregon, you say you love their horns. Yeah, they really are beautiful. And look at that male. He is spectacular. Those are wonderful, wonderful horns. Now, the emblem of national parks in South Africa and Kruger is actually the kudu, the face or head of a kudu with those beautiful horns. So the Kruger National Park's emblem, you'll see, is that of the kudu. I see how those ears, very, very big ears. Now, the kudu generally enjoy feeding through thickets, so they rely a lot on their hearing. And they'll listen out for any potential threat, any potential danger, as they move through the thicket feeding. Now, I think we'll leave these kudu, let them carry on feeding and moving on during the day. That's such a lovely, just those horns glistening in the light. Now, Jamie has got zebra and giraffe up in the Mara. Let's go have a look.
Look at this scene in front of us. Hundreds and hundreds of zebra, and something quite odd sticking out. I mean, it's not difficult to spot the odd one out right here. We've got a sea of stripes, and then some spots right in the middle, taking a little bit of a break. So we must have seen today, I would say, probably in the region of around about 30 odd giraffe. There's a whole load of them here, along with hundreds of zebra, and this is nothing compared to what we're going to see in the next few weeks. This place is going to be teeming with zebra and wildebeest and all sorts of other creatures caught along with the migration. Lions everywhere. It's going to be the most extraordinary spectacle. I've never in my life seen zebra like this. And this, I mean, we've traveled a few times towards the start of the migration, and you just see zebra as far as the eye can see, all blending together. Oh, great comparison there between the giraffe and the zebra. Oh, amazing. All of a sudden you just see this, oh sweet, look at this. That's so interesting. That's a male giraffe on the left, bending down to greet the calf that's lying down. Now that is something I have never ever seen. Ever. Either that giraffe is feeling affectionate, or is feeling itchy. It's one of the two. There's a possibility for either. I mean, that's a young giraffe lying down there. I hope some of you got some screenshots of that, because that is a moment I have never ever seen a male giraffe do that to a young giraffe. Chuck, no, we don't have any reticulated giraffe here. You'll have to travel further outside of the Mara, unless there's one or two that have suddenly made an appearance out here, perhaps an unusual sighting. But no, we don't get any reticulated giraffe. I think you'll actually find it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. You'll find the reticulated further north towards Somalia. It's not a species that occurs this far down south. Remember, we're right on the Tanzanian border. And the reticulated giraffe is a species that's quite isolated up to the northern sections of this country. Excuse me. And just by the way, sorry, a reticulated is actually not a species of giraffe. It's a subspecies as far as I know. If I remember that article correctly, they did a huge amount of research into the genetics of the different giraffe species. Mercedes, yes, I believe that is true. Mercedes wants to know if it's true that giraffe can't put their heads down for too long. The reason behind that is because they are so adapted to having their heads upright. Their whole body structure, the massive heart that pumps blood up to the brain, the spongy tissues around the brain that protects it, and then of course the valve systems to stop all of the blood rushing out of the head, all of that is geared towards fighting gravity and pumping blood up to that brain more than 2 meters in certain situations. So, when a giraffe does bend down, it actually causes a sort of a change in the way that those systems function together, and it's not uncommon to find giraffe, I say uncommon, I have seen giraffe that have drowned as a result of fainting into water holes because they've had their heads down for too long. Apparently, something that I never knew, apparently when giraffe lie down, occasionally they do rest their heads on the ground, but obviously not for very long. And that's also because it requires a distortion of the way that their body naturally sits. They have a massive tendon that runs along the back of their necks, and that holds the head upright. So they actually have to contract the muscles in the neck in order to bring the head downwards. It's not that they have to relax muscles to drop the head down. So if you watch a giraffe with its head down, it's very seldom below the level of the heart for more than 30 seconds. Curious one, I agree completely. That's exactly what the giraffe spots look like here. They look like leaves. Autumn leaves. I agree. They're very pretty. They look like not oak leaves, maple leaves in a way. They're very pretty. They are very, very pretty creatures. If you combine it with the views that we have, it makes the setting even more extraordinary. I saw a baby zebra earlier, but I've completely lost track of it. It's quite hard to keep track of one individual in a situation like this. Ah. Okay. Answer behind the male's attention. Oh, Andresia, you say that there's something magical about this Mara, really. I agree completely. There's something extraordinary about it, and I think that you'll find that the more time we spend with the individual cats, the cheetah especially, we're going to spend lots of time getting to know individual cheetah, lots of time getting to know the lion prides. I think you find that it becomes even more magical as we develop the same connection that we have back on Djuma. But the views and the number of animals out here is quite sublime. I mean, just sitting here, I'm looking at zebra and giraffe and wildebeest. I've just spotted there's a warthog as well. There by that termite mound, at the base of that termite mound, Sensor. There it is, over there. Next to the male giraffe that I thought was being affectionate, but actually was just testing that youngster to see if it was ready to mate. While you were looking at the zebra, I just noticed it bend down and sniff the hindquarters of that young giraffe. So he wasn't interested in, well, he was interested in a different kind of affection to the one I initially thought. Now, Ashes, you would like to know why giraffe have those horns. Oh, goodness, sorry, hold on, I'm caught up here. So many cables, so little space. Ashes, the reason that they have those horns, and they're technically not horns, they're ossicones, and the reason that the distinction is the fact that a giraffe is born with them. They lie flat and they're very soft and cartilage-like, and then they start to sort of spring up as the giraffe gets a little bit older. A couple of weeks old, those ossicones pop up and start to solidify. Those zebra are going to go and have a drink. So the reason that they have those is it's a weapon, and the males use them to fight with each other. So when a female is in estrus, the giraffe do something known as necking, which is where they swing their heads and they whack their opponent on the side. And you can imagine the momentum that's gathered. A really heavy head. Here we go. The zebra are going to walk right into this water hole. A really heavy head. Oh, some of them are so eager. Let's just watch the sensor. They're trotting down to the water. A really heavy head on the end of a long muscular neck. It creates quite an impact. There we go. Thirsty zebra going off to have a little bit of a swim. We are going to start our long ascent back to breakfast, and Tristan is going to carry the morning home with the last few views of Thamba.
Well, good luck, Jamie. Hopefully the car will make it all the way up to the top and you won't have a situation like you did the other day where you got stuck halfway up. Now, we are still with Thamba, and he's still posing ever so nicely on the top of his mound. You can see every now and then he lifts his nose and just looks into the marulas, and still looking over his shoulder longingly to see, well, where is Mom and when is she coming with breakfast? And I think maybe Jamie mentioning breakfast has certainly perked him up, because he was quite sleepy prior to that. But he, I think, wants breakfast just as much as the rest of us do. It is that time, isn't it? Smell the bacon wafting from down this way with the wind blowing. So I think we too shall start heading in that direction in the next few minutes, really. I wonder if Thandi and Thamba will follow us all the way to Djuma. It would be really cool if they do start moving up in that direction and we start to see them around the dam cam again and see, these two spending a lot more time on Djuma. They certainly have over the last month or so. I mean, we've been seeing them quite regularly down on the southern boundary, so hopefully this is the push northwards, and what will seal the deal is if Thandi is able to make a kill somewhere here during the day today, and they can then spend time, feasting on an impala or a daike and actually spend time in this area, then I'm pretty sure they'll utilize it a lot more Thandi seems to know what she's doing because she keeps moving and walking in towards these thickets, and she seems as though she knows exactly where she's going. I suppose given that she was born in these areas and she knows exactly what's going on and has traversed these before, that's why she remembers what's happening. But it's just interesting to see how she is able to follow the lay of the land and utilize these drainage sections as and when she needs, even though she hasn't been here for so many years. It's quite interesting just to watch. It just goes to show that they have far better memories than what we think. Little Thamba, you've been an absolute treat today. We've been absolutely spoilt by these two leopards, and particularly Thamba. He seems to be becoming such a poser. Every time we find him, he's going up on something and allowing us incredible visuals. So it's that time of the day where we're going to start saying goodbye, because we have to go back for breakfast, and well, we'll give Thamba a bit of a break before we try and find him again this afternoon. It's been an incredible morning, a beautiful sunrise, lots of animals out there. Byron managed to fix the vehicle, which is fantastic news, which means we'll definitely have both of our vehicles out this afternoon. So from Jamie, myself, Byron, Ferg, Seb, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all this afternoon.